The movie opens with lines of text stating that there are 7 known gateways to hell across the world, with one being an unnamed region in the mountains of West Virginia. Soon, a wooden structure comes into view as the words fade away. It looks like the gallows used to hang criminals with in the Middle Ages. A person wearing a hooded cloak comes into view kneeling on the ground. They stick a tool into the ground and unravel a set of chains. Other cloaked people join the first one as they stand up. One of them opens a cellar door in the ground, and then an engine comes into view. Everywhere is pretty foggy and covered in smoke. Then, a hook attached to the engine's rope lowers it into the ground and pulls up what seems to be a rotting corpse. In another place, we see a woman sitting at a table. She's counting cash while drinking. Meanwhile, a man up in the loft is tying his arm, trying to insert a filled syringe into his vein. She tells Jack, the junkie guy, who calls her sweetheart, that the money is short of what we assume is a certain amount, and they have to tell Tommy. She looks kind of scared and mentions that he'll annihilate them. She stares at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Her eyes are haunted with deep eye bags, and she looks exhausted, a little numb inside too. While patting her face dry, she hears something fall heavily upstairs. The woman yells Jack's name, but gets no reply. She goes back to the living room, but as she sits down, there's a thudding sound coming from outside. As it continues, the woman shouts, wanting to know if someone is out there, and gets up to investigate. She peers through the French doors, switching on the light to see better. She screams and jumps back in fright when she sees poor deceased Jack swinging with his mouth gaping open. Clearly, it was his corpse that had been knocking at the door making the noises. After backing away, the woman looks up to see a person dressed in one of those medieval hooded cloaks appear in the loft from nowhere. She tries to run away and trips on a rope. She gets caught, struggling and scratching the ground in fear. Sweetheart is pulled away by the cloaked stranger. The scene goes dark. At the other end, teenager watches a video on his phone while his dad drives, but it stops and keeps buffering. His dad makes fun of him, saying that it's a disaster he can't watch his video because there's no service. Dad jokingly reminds Jesse that they're there to enjoy the great outdoors and conquer their fears. They pass a couple of white people in a truck who give them the stink eye. The truck has a design of the Confederate flag on its behind. Yikes. That explains the weird looks. Leon assures Jesse, though, that where they are going will be far from anyone. Just the two of them. They enjoy the glorious view when they arrive at their destination, then start to unpack. Jesse asks about Tom. His dad reminds him that Tom is his client, a nice guy who recommended their camping site. Leon gives him a speech thanking him for being there, even though he knows Jesse didn't want to come, and rewards him with his own tent and a bottle of beer. They joke around. The kid's pretty happy to have a drink with his old man. Night falls, and they sit by a campfire. Leon gets lost in thought and remembers when Jesse was a baby held in his mother's arms. Out of nowhere, Jesse asks if his dad is sleeping with Tom since he has seen him with anyone, even though it's been 5 years since his mom passed away. Leon stutters in surprise at the question. He is not sure how to reply but strongly denies it, declaring his straightness for all the woods to hear. Mind you, he isn't homophobic. Leon thanks him for being concerned, but he is okay alone. He would rather have a conversation about what they'll do tomorrow. Jesse wants to talk about his mom. It seems she was to her demise. Leon tries to shut the conversation down, but Jesse goes on about how he wishes he could have done something, but he was just 12 years old. He wishes his dad was there to save his mom, but he didn't and still doesn't have the courage to discuss what happened. Leon raises his voice, telling him to stop talking, and Jesse goes to sleep angry at him. In the morning, Leon brushes his teeth and makes breakfast while enjoying the view of the outdoors, after which he goes over to Jesse's tent, trying to have a conversation. He wants to make peace and offers to take Jesse to the music festival he wanted to go to. Leon simply wants to spend time with his son before he goes to college. He decides to go on a drive, but when the man tries to turn the car on, it doesn't start. Leon opens the bonnet and something is wrong. He rushes back to the campsite to get Jesse. He opens his tent, but it's empty. Leon is frantic, calling for him. He finds a necklace within the car's engine. Someone has sabotaged the car. Leon walks down the road, trying to hitchhike, but runs into the Confederate truck from yesterday. The guy commands him to get on his knees through a speaker. Leon kneels, raising his hands while a man and woman get out of the truck. The man is holding a gun and keeps interrupting Leon's attempts to explain he just needs to find his son and that he doesn't want trouble. The hillbilly doesn't even try to listen and rants about how his type isn't welcome around their parts. If you haven't picked it up yet, Leon and Jesse are also known as African American. The hillbilly guy turns to the rope carrying Billy and asks her what they should do with him. She suggests that Tommy might want to speak to him, so they decide to take Leon with. He takes the chance to escape when Hillbilly turns his back to take the rope from Billy. Hillbilly shoots after him and claims they want to help him, and the woods are a dangerous place to get lost in. He threatens they'll find Leon. They leave because they have an appointment they're already running late for. Leon sees a hooded figure in the woods and bumps into a body. It's the lady from before. She's deceased. Leon runs so fast. He pukes out everything in his tummy, even bile. That's how he is found, bent over, spilling his guts out by another guy. Either he's truly concerned, or he has no choice but to step out because Leon's in the middle of the road. Who knows? But he stops his car and asks what happened. Leon explains haltingly that his son went missing this morning while camping, and he found a body in the woods. Kine offers him a ride, and he gets in. Kine explains that there's no service for at least 40 minutes out of their location. Leon suggests going to the police, but Kine laughingly informs him there are no police or laws where they are. They get to Kine's house, and he gives a super brief breakdown of the rules there. The only rule is to not mess with the money, which Leon promises he didn't. We see the hillbilly Scott and his lady friend get to a house. Scott goes in alone and gets dragged with a rope by someone hiding. Back to Leon. He looks around Kine's house and spies a woman tied to a bed through a door that's just slightly open. Kine brags about his pull in the area and that a few calls from him will reveal things. Though he can't do anything for free, he asks for more details, and Leon tells him about someone messing with his car and leaving a necklace behind. Kine's expression changes subtly, and he acts suspicious. If you ask me, he most definitely knows something. The home phone rings, and he asks Leon to step out while he takes the call. We're back with Billy. She turns off the country music and comes down the truck. She smiles creepily at the sight of Scott's corpse hanging upside down and starts rubbing a necklace like the one Leon found while mumbling to herself. Kine makes a deal with somebody on the phone. Leon shoots at him. They tussle, and our dude comes out on top. Kine ends up on his knees, claiming that Jesse is deceased and that Leon should go home. Leon knocks him unconscious with a kick and swipes a map and keys. He remembers the lady tied to the bed and goes to set her free. She's jumpy, but he assures her. Tara puts her pants on and takes Leon's gun from him. She shoots Kine 3 times. She offers to help him find his son by taking him to an old priest who lives in the middle of nowhere. Billy finally leaves that house, driving off somewhere. This character really creeps me out. On the other hand, Leon meets the priest, who says he is expecting him. He gives Leon a little history lesson so he understands the danger he is in. That's how we learn the story of the hangman, the handiwork of a cult's demon summoning play. The locals burnt its body, but it wouldn't perish, so it's back. I'm with Leon a little bit on this. It is nonsense. The town is probably crawling with psychopathic lunatics, but listening to the old man may be useful later. Leon calls someone at work to ask about Tom Benning, but they don't know who he is. Leon hangs up as he starts to put 2 and 2 together. He asks who the person in the picture is that Jedediah put on the table for the history time. He learns the man's name is Thomas. Well, that can't be a coincidence. Leon's ready to cooperate now. It's time to meet the gifted Esther. Esther, whose health is failing, is stuck in bed. She grabs Leon's arm and announces that he is here. Jedediah goes to investigate, which, as we've already established, is always a great idea. After a few jump scares and failed attempts to banish the demon with some prayers, he is ambushed by the hangman who does his thing. You know, the hanging thing. Jedediah is captured by ropes on both sides, strapped to the bed. Esther informs Leon that Jesse is deep in the Valley of the Spider, remembering that the necklace had a spider web pendant. She passes away, and Leon leaves the room and finds Jedediah with his limbs and neck tied to a bed. He frees him, and Jedediah gasps to life, handing his cross to Leon with the mission to send the hangman back to hell with a plunge of the cross to its heart. Leon wanders outside with no clear destination, but in the woods, creepy Billy injects something into him, and he falls down. She takes him through a gate with 2 goons guarding it. Leon comes to as Billy's piano playing ends. Finally, we meet Thomas, or Tommy as he's known now. Leon asks for his son's whereabouts while Tommy goes on about being progressive. Billy shows Leon an image of a tied-up Jesse through the television. He wants to know what they want, if not money. Tommy talks about what one would do for loved ones, revealing that he and Billy are lovers, which is kind of gross, since she looks pretty young, while Tommy looks about 70. Apparently, they've been lovers for over 50 years, and he is turning 127. They got their longevity from helping a demon out of hell. Gunshots go off from the guards outside, and Billy leaves. She goes to where Jesse is fastened to a tree. assuring his unconscious body that it'll be over soon. Tommy is still enjoying the sound of his own voice, going on about how they weren't immortal, but could perish when they choose. To be honest, that doesn't sound quite so bad. They've built an anonymous empire with unimaginable wealth. Leon thinks that's cool, but he doesn't get what that has to do with his son. Trust Tommy to clear things up. So the demon needs a new body to take over, and it has to be someone young with a soul in immense pain. When they find out about Jesse's mother, he was the obvious choice. They planned to present Jesse as a gift and be set for the next 50 years. They didn't butcher Leon yet because they want to use his demise to inflict greater pain on Jesse. Leon struggles out of the ropes, tying him to the chair till he falls close to the fireplace, burning the ropes. His body is still full of elixirs, so he moves slowly. Tommy blocks his path and refuses to let him open the door. A scuffle breaks out between them, with Leon coming up on top. As a tough dad with a mission, he grabs a burning piece of wood straight from the fire and slams it on Tommy's face, burning him. The hangman is finally where Jesse was tied at. Billy unties Jesse as he gets closer. We get an uncomfortable close-up of the hangman's face, and then they disappear. Leon realizes he can't see his son on the screen anymore, while Tommy basks in his pain. A gunshot passes through Tommy, and Tara appears and puts a gunshot through his head. Leon passes out and wakes up in Tara's car, and they drive back to her house. They get to her place, and she treats his wounds while they talk. Tara asks if he's married. Do I sense a hint of romance? He tells her his wife's gone and asks about hers, but she glosses over his question. Tara wants to know why Leon was in their town. He gives the classic, "It's complicated" answer, but he explains why they want Jesse when she tells him about how the hangman assassinated her grandparents. It wasn't something she believed when her mother said it in the past, but she does now. Leon tells her that the reason they want his son is because of the pain. 5 years before, Jesse lost his mother and Leon feels that he is to blame. Flashback to a bar, where a white guy tries to get Leon and his friend to leave their seats for him, with the bartender nudging them to get up since the other guy is a regular and a big spender. Leon doesn't argue, but simply orders a $250 bottle of liquor, showing without saying, keeping it classy. The weird guy touches his friend's neckpiece, calling him brother mockingly and glaring like a loser. Leon and his friends sit back and talk about his family's recent inherited wealth, while the weird loser glares at them. We see his wife, and the same tattoo on both the guy and the shooter's wrist. It seems that the man from the bar was the one who butchered Leon's wife. He asks Tara why she's helping him since she said they were even. She tells him it's his turn to help her. Tara's a nurse, but somehow gets caught up in the town's mess after meeting Kine, and no one helps her. She also admits to butchering those guards and goes to have her bath. Leon figures out where Billy took Jesse when he sees a spider. He remembers Esther's words. He checks Kine's map and arms himself with the weapon he sees in the car. We see Billy open that cellar door in the ground from the start of the movie. Tara runs out in a towel when she hears the car engine, and they agree that Leon owes her one. He drives off into the night. Billy hears a car arrive in the woods and sees Leon's outline. She goes looking for him with a crossbow. He grabs her from behind with a knife to her throat and makes her lead the way to where she and the hangman put Jesse. She takes him to the gateway, but warns him it's a bad idea. She opens it, but while Leon looks into the door, she traps his foot and puts him upside down over the gateway. She then blames him for her loss and pretty much calls him foolish for doing what he can to get his son back from. Apparently, he can lose his son, but she can't lose her lover. This unconvincing bout of melancholy does not last long. Soon enough, she's laughing in victory, bragging about her age. She's 78 years old, and this isn't her first rodeo. Billy thinks they're similar and thanks him for giving her a chance to be the new boss. While she lauds herself and lets her guard down, Leon shoots the crossbow into her eye. As she screams in pain, she steps on the rope's lever and trips into the barrel fire she lit earlier. That's the end of Creepy Billy, burning her way into hell. The rope lowers Leon into the gateway and decides no more camping. He climbs down but falls through a hole lined with fire. The scenery around him changes from a hot lava rock tunnel to a misty hallway. He peers through an open door into a room and sees a teenage boy sitting on the bed, his head down and seemingly in pain. A man speaks to the boy, telling him that some people will save him. As the boy Damon screams, Leon backs away. When he turns around, the hangman is behind him. He falls back, but lands in a bed where his wife is next to him, the assailant standing over their heads, telling her to go with him. Jesse gets up from the bed, and he hears the sounds of a scuffle between his mother and her assailant, as he tells her to bring her jewelry. It turns out the weird guy from the bar was listening to their conversation. where Leon told his friend his wife inherited jewelry worth a lot of money. The door closes, but another one opens behind him. In comes the hangman. Leon is confused, stuck in the past. But Jesse's cry for his dad breaks the haze over his mind. The hangman tries to get into Jesse's body through his mind, but Leon speaks to him, acknowledging the events of his mom's passing. His mind comes back to him, and he escapes from the gateway, but the hangman follows suit. Leon finds that he's back to normal, dressed as he came into the gateway, and climbs out of the door. He throws one of Kyne's grenades to destroy the door to hell. While Hangman searches for Jesse, he uses Billy's truck microphone to get his attention. He calls him Damon, and it takes notice. They confront each other in a barn. The hangman has the advantage of powers, so ropes fly around, capturing Leon, but he slices them off with a cutlass. Ropes tie his legs, pulling him closer to a chainsaw. Just as he's about to be cut in half, he manages to free himself. He throws another grenade and escapes to another room. He waits to see if he's safe, but we all know man-made weapons have nothing on demons, even in their real body. They confront each other again, and ropes grab both of Leon's wrists, pulling him apart. Jesse shouts for his dad, breaking the balance and distracting the demon. It chases after Jesse, but Leon goes after them and uses the Confederate truck to slam the hangman to a tree. It pushes back stronger till the truck crashes to the ground sideways. Damon goes after Jesse again, while Leon crawls through the window of the truck. He calls out Damon's name, telling him that he knows who he is, his true identity. He's just a sick and scared little boy who cries for his daddy. He's trying to make Damon remember who he truly is, that his soul is still within him. We get a flashback of Damon's dad pushing him, encouraging him. Damon wants the pain to stop, but his dad accuses him of being weak. Damon is in constant pain, but his father insists he endure, that it is the only way for Damon to survive. He tells him, like he did before in what we can now tell was Damon's memory in the gateway to hell, that it is time to be a man. Damon screams as the memory flashes through his mind and rushes at Leon wildly. But he's prepared. He stakes the demon straight through the heart. That lunatic is going back to hell, for good this time. As the clouds stir violently and the sky turns red, the hangman scrabbles at the floor, a rope dragging him unwillingly to hell. With all the things he did to stay on Earth, he's totally not happy to leave, especially not alone. As a last hurrah, the demon tries to drag Leon with him, using a noose around his neck. He chokes as he accompanies the demon back home. Leon's eyes widen with the realization that he just might be meeting his demise. He stares at the red sky as his body disappears underground. All that is left is the rope buried in the ground. Jesse wakes up gasping for breath, and the sky is clear. The demon is gone, but his dad isn't there. Luckily for Leon, the remote control of the engine that is connected to the rope of the gallows is in his hand. When his body goes limp from that lack of oxygen, his finger presses the remote's button. It pulls him up from the ground. Jesse sees him and brings his body down. After lots of shaking, Leon breathes. They laugh and hug in near tears. They make their way through the woods, and Leon asks Jesse what he could remember when he wants an explanation of how they got there. Jesse only recalls them arguing at the campfire. He apologizes, but Leon assures him it is all right and that his son was right all along. They are going to have to talk about his mom and everything. Jesse remembers going to bed and then waking up in the woods. They make their way out of the woods to where Leon parked the car he borrowed from Tara. This sparks another question from the bewildered teenager, but Leon is too tired to answer any questions or give explanations. The man nearly met his demise. He needs to catch a break or go to a hospital, something the father and son duo can definitely agree on. Leon passes the keys to his son and promises to explain everything to him later. They sit in the car and share a touching father-son moment, exchanging "I love yous." Wow, what a very heartwarming scene. As they drive off, Leon falls asleep through Jesse's attempt to ask again, "What happened?"